Yeah. Test. Yeah. All right. Hello, everyone. I'd like to get started if we could, please. If everyone could have a seat. Okay. I'd like to welcome everyone in the Cherokee room, those watching live on YouTube and those that are watching the recorded show. I'd like to welcome to the second quarter 2023 quarterly board meeting. Those that are in the room, if you have a cell phone, I ask that you please silence it. We're going to try to keep this to an hour. If you do have questions, we're going to save those for the very end, and I ask that you come to the microphone to ask those questions. Otherwise, if you don't, the people that are remote watching this cannot hear their question. Okay, I'd like to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't see anyone wearing a hat. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. One item that we don't have on the agenda, which is up on the screen, is that I'd like to approve the minutes from the last quarterly meeting. So if someone from the board can have a motion to approve those March 30th, 2023 quarterly meeting minutes as distributed. Second. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay. The March 30, 2023 quarterly minutes are approved as distributed. So a quick rundown of what we're going to do. Jim's going to give a quick GM report, a quick update of what's going on. I'm going to talk about a couple of points, and then we're going to start with the board initiatives for 2023-2024, which are the pool enhancement project. We'll speak to that. Brian O'Neill will give an update on the community rules and regs. Donna Aiken Coleflesh will give the update on the community growth management plan. And then at the very end, we'll have a Q&A. Okay, so Jim, if you would.
Thank you, Brent. So today we're going to talk about 5 different areas. That's how I normally break down the GM report for the quarterly board meetings. We'll talk about what's going on within the community and around the clubhouse area, connectivity area, which we also know is very thing that we've been trying to work on the last couple of years. Give an update on that, security, give you a financial investment update, and then an update on the activity and wellness center. So as far as what's going on around the community right now in the clubhouse, you'll notice, I hope that you'll see the exterior renovations of the main gate and East Fork Gatehouse are continuing. The metal roofs are now complete. The stonework is starting this week, and then will be followed by siding, paint, and awning replacements. So we hope to be done with that hopefully by the end of July. All those both gates will be finished, and then we're also looking at options of what we can do for the Wanpesca entry area as well, to do some type of beautification in that entry area as well. The building there is actually not in good shape. The interior of that is pretty much gutted. So to spend any money on the exterior improvements probably doesn't make any sense. So we may look at actually removing that actual guardhouse and just making a more appealing and aesthetically pleasing entrance. Because I think that when we ever put a person down there again, it'd be cheaper just to build a new one anyway. So we'll give an update at that at our next meeting. We're also currently in process of updating our emergency action plans called EAPs for all 4 damways. These have to be updated every 10 years per the code of the state of North Carolina. And basically what this does is the new modeling is different. So you have to update the modeling of what would happen if you had 10% breach, 30% breach, 50% breach, and then obviously the worst case scenario, 100% breach, and how that would impact anyone downstream and what the significant damage would be, and all that has to be calculated and re-engineered. So they will do that. We hired an engineering firm to do this for us because it has to be a stamped engineered report that will be distributed to the state and to the county. So it'll probably take around 90 days to get all that done. Our last time we did them was 2010. So technically we're past the due date of the 10 years, but we've been working with the state and they're fine with us going ahead and doing that now and not penalizing us for being a few years late. We are continuing road resurfacing through the community, and we'll do that all through the summer and the fall. Pretty much we do that all the way until the asphalt plant closes, which is normally sometime in October, November. We're back on our normal schedule of mowing. We did get a little behind when we were doing some of the road asphalting about a month ago. Basically, it takes our whole crew of 12 people on the community maintenance crew anytime we asphalt, between all the different trucks we have to go to get the asphalt, then running all the equipment. It takes all 12 guys pretty much to do that. So if we're doing that for 2 weeks, which is what we normally try to do, the grass grows pretty quick in 2 weeks. So we got one week behind on that, but we'll get back on. We're back on schedule now. I think we're out mowing that today, as a matter of fact. We are getting a new pizza oven. Actually, it's supposed to be installed yesterday and today. Hopefully they'll finish that up. But that's basically what they call a rationale oven. And it's a high-tech one. We already have one, so we're just adding a second one to it. And basically, obviously doubles our capacity to be able to get pizzas out, which is our main thing on Fridays and Saturday nights. So that will help expedite getting your pizza quicker. So far this year, for the 5 months, and so far tracking for June, we've had record sales both in food and beverage and golf for all 5 months, and June will be probably the 6th month. Even with the 5 days of rain that we had last week, we're still ahead of schedule in both those operations for revenue. So we thank you for all supporting those activities, and we appreciate that. You're helping yourself by doing that. Connectivity. We are continuing to look for ways to improve cellular service. We're exploring a couple different options, but we also are looking potentially with a joint venture type of thing with Comporium, as whether we like them or not, they're the only provider in town. And they have some new technology that they've been talking about that might help us. So I've been trying to set up meetings with Sheila, who's the general manager down at Comporium here in Brevard, to discuss what those options might look like. And Robert and Zach in the back, they continue to improve our wireless networks throughout the community. I know they did one this fall or this winter and spring, where they extended the Atagahi Park Wi-Fi signal, so you can actually get it out into the lake, actually, pretty much. So they continue to monitor that and determine where they can make improvements to widen out our Wi-Fi network. From a security standpoint, obviously, all you know that we have started the RFID fob distribution. We're about 50% complete on that now. Most of the people that are in town have probably got their fob, or they don't access a lot of things, so they're not interested. But we probably will look at deactivating the actual keypad at the pool at the end of June. So you will need a fob to enter the pool. So if you have not got one, you should get one by the end of the month. And we will continue to add the RFID access points around the community, obviously the new A&W, and potentially down the road, the gates, entry gates as well. One thing I want to bring up, I'll make sure that we send out the dates, but Condesi Fire Rescue, and I didn't even know this, they have a water rescue group. And basically, since we are the largest portion of the Condesi Fire district, the reality is likelihood if there was a type of water rescue or water mission that they had to do, it probably would be within Condesi Falls. So they have requested to be able to practice and use Lake Atagahi. Actually, I know it's going to be Atagahi because we talked to them today, where they will come in for a few hours. 2 Thursdays in a row will be July 13th and July 20th. where they will come in probably between the hours of 3 to 6, somewhere in there, where they'll practice their timing from leaving to launching to dropping some objects in the lake for the divers to locate, and then potentially doing a life rescue mission as well. The one thing I will express to you is that they do not use electric power boats. All their equipment is gas, but they're only bringing in one boat with the gas engine, and the other one that they'll be using is like a wave runner type machine. We are making an exception, obviously, for them to do this because it is a life safety issue and it's a benefit to the community. If an issue like that ever happened within the community, they would have a better access and understand where they're going and how they're dealing with them. So from a financial perspective, how are we doing? So far through the month of May, we are $37,171 better than budget year to date. Amenity fees collected, which are basically your home sales, which is what we try to monitor as close as possible. We are 5 short of budget year to date, but we're actually have 2 more than last year. And last year we were worried that we wouldn't make it, and we did. So we're actually ahead of schedule compared to last year. So I don't have any real concern that we will not hit our budget, which was 80 homes to be sold. Obviously, anyone who tracks the MLS or what's on for sale here, there's not a lot for sale in the inventory, but what's happening is most homes that go up for sale that are in decent shape and priced right are selling relatively quick. So we still are having a pretty good churn of sales every month, even though there's not a lot on the market. Some of you, or hopefully all of you, are aware that last year we sent out a bunch of information for the community for input to change our investment policy. Previous years, we did not have the ability to invest in anything except cash or FDIC guaranteed or government-backed securities. We changed that based on the input from the community, and the board voted on that new investment policy last year. So right now, quick slide here is that we have approximately $11 million of funds that are invested. As you can see here, most of it is still invested in short-term assets, which is basically money market now, or T-bills, which are paying almost 5% for 3-month T-bills. And we have about 1/3 of it is in some type of what we call medium or long-term investment, which would be an equity and or bond type investment. So you can see all of our short-term cash that we need, which is the bottom line here, cash and short-term 3.2, which is our operating cash. We keep all that basically in cash. To break it down into how these investments have been going. So this slide here basically shows you year to date. We have made 1.79% on a quarterly basis for the last 3 months, and to the benchmark number of 0.71. So, obviously it's 1 quarter, but if you multiply that by 4 and we continue the way we are, we would make approximately a little less than 7% on our investments. The good news is about what's going on with the interest rates as they're helping us, because we can invest in very low risk material like in T-bills, treasuries, and we're still getting 4 or 5% on that money. So it adds up quick. I think that you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the total we've collected so far, just in interest, I think is a couple $100,000 so far on our investments based on just the interest rate. Yeah. Where the year before, I think it was 27,000 total in 2021. So huge difference. On the Activity and Wellness Center, the steel beams were all delivered last week. You probably got that video last Friday. Starting tomorrow, the crane will be back here and we'll start putting the rest of it up and going up to the 2nd floor. The floor pan, which is what creates the 2nd floor before the concrete's poured, is going to be delivered on the 30th, June 30th, which is early next week. So we'll get that in place, then hopefully get the concrete pour the following week. Then we will create a temporary staircase to get up to the 2nd floor so that we can start framing the walls and so forth and get the trusses put in place. All the materials that have any type of lead time have all been ordered and are either in a warehouse being stored or delivered prior to when they're needed. They're all the delivery dates have been confirmed and will be delivered before they are needed. So right now, the project is still on budget and on schedule for the March, April 2024 timeframe. Next, I will turn it over to Brent.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you, Jim. So I'm just going to talk about a few things. So as we all know, we purchased a piece of property earlier this year that sits right by our walking track and our tennis courts. It's approximately 21 acres. And then I'm going to speak briefly to a competitive market analysis that we've done and have done in the past as well. And then we'll get on to the initiative updates, which will start with the pool enhancement project. So here's the update on the 21 acres. As here you can see now, I explained where it was, but the trail builders are actually building a trail on that right now. So if you look at the diagram that's up there, the line that goes around the outside, it's sort of a dark purple. That's the existing Ogana trail that's been here. Then if you look at the pinker colored trail, that's the trail that the trail builders are building at as we speak. Well, not as we speak. They're done now, right, Bob? They were done this morning at noon. So Wednesday mornings is when the trail builders work. So we've been at it now for 8 months. Yeah. So it's been at least a month. It's been more than that. I was interested. It's every Wednesday morning. There are no coffee and donuts though. So they've made great progress, or we've made great progress. And I believe Bob and I were talking about where we think we are is where that upper orange ravine is. I think we've made that turn. And now we're getting up to where it's a little bit flatter and it'll go pretty quick. But please. Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be a 1.1 mile loop. And I think it's a great addition to our trail system. But please stay off the trail until we announce that it's open, because we do leave our trail tools out there and it's not the safest once you get past what we've worked on. We do plan, or we're hoping to improve the property also with a seating area and a pavilion, and improve the driving up to there and some parking so that folks that maybe can't do a strenuous walk at least could get up there and enjoy the view. Because it is one of the higher elevations, if not the highest elevation in Conisty. And it does look up towards the Blue Ridge Mountains. Okay, the other thing I wanted to speak about is this year we had our competitive market amenities analysis updated. And the last time we had that done was in 2018. We used the same firm to do that. REMA, and I believe that stands for Real Estate Marketing Alliance. And what it did is it compared us to 20 other communities that are similar to us within a 3.5 hour car ride. Now, it's hard to have anyone that's exactly like we are. I mean, we are very amenity laden, beautiful scenery. And to find someone else like us, it's hard, but they did their best, and there were 20 communities that they included in that. But the key conclusions and recommendations that they came forward with to us is that the construction of the activity and wellness center is on target, and it'll be a great improvement to our community, especially as it relates to the others, because that's one area where we were on the low end of the scale for an amenity. They also said that an enhanced pool experience would be a great update for us to include. And that's something that we're in the planning stages on as well. And they also mentioned that our clubhouse, because they went to each one of these 20 communities and compared all these aspects of the community. And they said that our clubhouse is outdated and it really needs to be improved or renovated. And we should make that a priority at some point in the future. Nothing on the table right now to do that, but it is an area that's been pointed out as a weakness. And also, as Jim alluded to earlier, we understand that self-service is important, and there's not a lot that we can do directly, but we are making that a priority and working with, as Jim said, Comporium, to try to come up with some solutions to make self-service a possibility. So it's a large report, much more than I could bring on here. And that's a quick update on their findings. Okay, on to the pool. So looking back, back in last year, about this time, we started talking about the pool and the activity wellness center. And at that point, we had bundled the two projects together for hopefully a proposal. But at that time, we were expecting the pool to cost somewhere in the area of $1.8 million. And when we presented that to the community, we got a lot of good comments back on things that they thought should be in that pool complex. So at that point, we separated it into two projects, the Activity and Wellness Center and the pool. And we moved forward with the Activity and Wellness Center and put that to a vote, and the community voted forward for it. And as you can see, we're making great progress in that area. So when we separated it, we asked the facilities planning committee to continue exploring options for that. At that point, we were hoping to have a couple of vendors involved. So that's looking back, and now moving forward to where we are now. Here's what we've got. We charged them with finding a full contractor and define those specifications for the member expectations, in the new pool enhancement project proposal was developed. When that came in, the vendor that we have that was interested in doing the work, and there was only one vendor, is Connor Construction, and their proposal came in at $2.6 million. Now, what changed in that? Originally the pool was just going to be one large and retractable covered pool and a kiddie splash zone. But based on the feedback that we got from the community, the feedback we received, it would be great to have an indoor year-round type pool. So construction of the outdoor pool, it's a larger pool. It's approximately twice the size of that. It would enclose the pool deck would be approximately twice the size of what we have now. It would get pushed towards the golf course and towards that parking area by the clubhouse. And again, those were things that we heard from the community and incorporated into the new design. One of the other things that Connor Construction came forward with is a pool construction system called Mirtha, and it's basically stainless steel panels that are covered with a polymer type coating, and that system effectively doubles the lifespan of a concrete pool. It's more sanitary. It's leak proof. It's not new technology. I believe it's been around for 40 years. And the Olympics use it. A lot of the collegiate swimming programs use pools that are made like this. And the other good thing about that is, since it's not made out of concrete, then the amount of chemistry needed to keep the pool sanitary and operational is reduced by 60%, which of course then also has reduced maintenance costs. So this is the rendering of an overview look of what the pool is based, the design and the cost estimate is based upon. So on the left, down by the pickleball courts, that would be the pool, basically twice the size that we have now. This section here, up here, is a zero entry into the pool. So what a zero entry is it's basically a walking ramp. So anyone can gain access into the pool that way, not having to go down steps and having ladders and things like that. And then there are the steps. And as you can see, there's 5 or 6 swim lanes. I'm not sure what the final configuration will be. The kiddie splash zone is the area up top with the green and, oh, thank you. So we don't have the exact, I don't want to call them toys, but the pumping systems that are in the animation that goes on in there. Much more sanitary than a Petri dish that a lot of the pools are that are for kids now. And of course, you can see it's a much larger seating area. And then to there is the enclosed pool. It'll have 3 swim lanes in it. I believe it starts at 3.5 feet deep on both ends, and it comes down to 4.5 feet. So it's suitable for laps, but it's also suitable for exercise classes in the wintertime and year round. The sides of the pool are retractable. I don't know if they go this way or they go up, but on warmer days, you know, those sides can be removed and make it appear as an open area. And then much needed is the new bathhouse, which is also going to act as the entry, which is down on the lower parking lot. So that would be the new bathhouse, and it would have access for pickleball, bocce to use a bathroom year round without going into the complex. So it's going to be a great addition, you know, and we're looking forward to presenting that at some point in the future, which brings me to the next slide. So at this point, some concerns that we have, and I'll go right to the most important things that we've deferred, or we determined that deferring the pool enhancement project proposal to a future date is the fiscally prudent decision and in the best interest of the CFPOA. And we'll revisit again in 2024. And the reason that we're deferring it at this time is the amenity reserve balance, which is what we use to pay for things of this nature. If we do both the pool and the activity wellness center at the same time, at the end of 2024, we'll only have $250,000 in that reserve. Now, when Jim showed the slide earlier where it showed us with the investments, we have more than one reserve account. We have a capital improvement, we have real property, we have the infrastructure reserve, we have the emergency reserve. But the reserve that we're talking about here is the amenity reserve fund, and that's for projects such as this. When we presented it as a bundled project, we had talked about possibly taking a loan out to help us with these projects. But at that point, interest rates were in the 2 to 3% range. Now we're between 5 and 7%. And we do not feel that it's fiscally responsible to borrow money on a project such as this at that type of a rate. And we've relied on our other committees. You know, Bob Coughlin's here with Finance Committee, and they've done a great job looking at our finances and lending or rendering an opinion on what they think, and which we agree with, which is to defer it at this point. So that's what we've got on the pool at this point. So now I'm going to hand it over to Donna Aiken Coleflesh, sorry. I saw John out there and I'm thinking, oh, there.
Bob can't get it. I was gonna ask. That one?
Yep.
Okay. The big square. Okay. Thank you. Hey, thanks everybody for coming out today. I'm just going to give you a brief update on what the Build Out Task Force has been up to since we talked about this in the first quarter of the year. Just a reminder of what the charge is, and this came out of the 2022 strategic plan that was approved by the board just about a year ago. And that was to do a cross-functional study to look at what the total number of homes in Conisty Falls might be at total build out. And since we've moved here, which was 7 years ago, we've talked about total build out being in 20 years. So that seems to have, that 20 years keeps moving, but we finally are putting a stake in the ground and saying, okay, this is what we want to look at over the next 20 years. We were talking about this the other day in a board planning session, and it occurred to us, and Janet, I think you mentioned this is the first time we've had a true cross-functional task force working on a major initiative for Conisty Falls that was charged by the board, wherein we have representatives from nearly all of the permanent committees. So facilities planning is involved, and finance and judicial. We have at least 2 attorneys and at least 2 former board presidents involved in this initiative. We have strategic planning, natural resources stewardship, and A&E are all represented on this. And these guys have been doing a tremendous amount of work, meeting every other week since last fall. And you can't find a group of people who care more about this community than this build out task force does. And if I don't mention Dave Hunter as the lead, he'll never speak to me again. So Dave Hunter's been leading this initiative for us. Yeah, despite Dave, but you can pay me later. So just a couple things that we keep in mind every time we get together and talk about this is that our members have told us clearly in surveys over the years, and we have surveys dating back, survey data and feedback since 2014. The Conisty Falls is not and does not want to be a quote resort community. We are a residential community and we want to remain a residential community. Our natural beauty and connection to nature, connections to each other, the key driver of member satisfaction. That comes up every single time we meet. That's at the forefront of all of our discussions. The other thing members have told us very clearly is that future investments in Conisty Falls should focus on improving our existing amenities and not adding what we might call attractions. So we're not going to see a water park on Ottagahi. We're not going to see the floating tiki bar. I've been working for you there. Jackie's laughing. But so we want to improve what we have. So building a new activity and wellness center is in essence approving an existing amenity because we already have a wellness center. It's not adding something new to our amenity set. The team is at the point where the research and analysis is complete. We have looked at boatloads of documentation from all perspectives. And just last week, the task force made their recommendations to the board in a formal presentation. The board now has an opportunity to kind of chew on those and mull those over and make some decisions about prioritizing those recommendations, what we might move forward with immediately, what might get deferred to later, and how to best manage build out within Conisty Falls to a number that is palatable to our members while still protecting our natural resources, preserving our financial stability, all working towards the common good. The hope is that we'll be able to give the community a full presentation on what the build out task force activities are at the annual meeting on August 5th. That's what we're planning on for right now. Next up is Brian O'Neill.
All right, the Community Rules and Regulations Task Force has been working very diligently on the architectural and engineering portion of the rules and our environmental portion of the rules and regulations. As you can imagine, it's taken a lot of time and effort and a lot of input from different groups. The task force includes members from the board, the judicial committee, member at large, and the SBC as permanent members. Subject matter members are chosen from groups and committees and serve limited terms for discussions relevant to their respective organizations. They're chosen by their group leaders. There are several sections in the rules and regulations that also refer to administrative functions. Jim has been working on those to give us updates on those things. The A&EC portion of it, we finished the initial review on that on June 20th. We're going through right now and reformatting that, cleaning up everything and trying to put it into a format where A&EC and the board both can see what the original rules and regulations were and what the changes are that have been made. Not an easy task, but we've been working and struggling through Word to get to that format. The other rules and regulations sections have been sent out to the corresponding groups for review before we have meetings with them. Most of those have been received back by the committee with their markups on it, and scheduling on that will be taking place over the next couple of weeks. We anticipate the submission to the board for final review of all of the sections of the rules and regulations. I am hoping very optimistically for September 1st, but any of you that have looked at the rules and regulations, it's about 60 pages worth of stuff that covers all of the aspects of the community. A&EC of that was about half of it, so we're almost through that portion of it. So we'll see where we wind up with it. Once it has been submitted to the board and all of the other committees have had a chance to review the changes to it, then it will be sent out to the membership for comment, and we will then review the membership comments and make any revisions that are needed at that point in time. Sorry about that. I didn't do that.
They're fine.
All right, so that ends the formal part, or at least the agenda part. So now, if there's questions or that you have for us, I ask that you go to the mic where Robert is right now and state your name. And in the old days, we did unit and lot number, but I'm not sure if we don't do that. And name is all we need. So.
All right.
Sorry for my unanticipated shortness. Okay, all right, thank you. I'm so sorry to be first, and this may seem trivial. My name is Ellen O'Brien, and my husband and I live at 116 Wahoo Court. And I really want to know if between now and the time you make a decision on the pool enhancements, could you please clean up those restrooms? They are appallingly dirty. There is a door that if anybody tripped on it and cut themselves, they would have tetanus almost immediately. We really need, there used to be somebody who cleaned them, but there isn't anymore.
Okay.
So if you could do something about that, it would really improve our lives.
Yeah, well, we appreciate and apologize to you. Anyone else? Okay. That makes it fast. Well, I just want to thank everyone for coming out today and those that are watching on YouTube and those that will watch the tape. It's the community's here for you, and we appreciate that you take an interest in this. I do think it is a premier community with which I'm proud to call home.